10 gigawatts. That is the staggering, absolutely massive physical toll currently pipeline-bound for Northern California alone just to fuel the artificial intelligence boom. We talk so much about software algorithms, but the invisible cloud, it is violently colliding with our physical reality right now. And honestly, the impact is huge.
Right now, there's this unprecedented 10 gigawatt surge in power demand for data centers targeting just this one region. Think about it. For years, tech giants just leased wholesale space. Kept it agile, right? Well, scratch that. The sheer density of modern AI hardware has forced a massive pivot. Now, these companies are aggressively gobbling up land to build their own giant hyperscale campuses.
To really wrap our heads around that 10 gigawatt pipeline, it's literally the equivalent of powering 7.5 million homes. And get this, 2,000 megawatts of that massive influx is heading straight to a single municipality, San Jose. So you can imagine this explosive data center buildout is putting a historic, unprecedented strain on local resources. It's threatening the regional grid, and it has residents deeply alarmed about skyrocketing utility bills.
Which brings us to the core of this explainer, the big, unavoidable question we're answering today. How on earth can a city balance the massive physical demands of the AI boom with the everyday needs of its own residents? To figure this out, we're diving deep into a fascinating primary case study, Microsoft's recent deployments right there in San Jose, to see exactly how this tension is playing out on the ground in real time.
Part 1. Silicon Valley's Land Rush.
If you want to understand how these tech companies are actually securing space, just look at Microsoft's strategy. It's all about strategic patience. Consider how this timeline played out. They bought a roughly 65-acre parcel in the Alviso neighborhood for over $73 million way back in 2017. But they didn't even plan to officially break ground until June 2026. They literally sat on this land for nearly a decade, just to lock in the power and spatial capacity in a ridiculously constrained market. And it wasn't a one-off. They did the exact same thing in 2021, snagging another 65-acre site at Orchard Parkway.
Part 2. Microsoft's hyperscale blueprints.
Okay, so once you finally have the land, local environmental constraints basically dictate your entire architectural engineering. Think about these two campuses, both built by Microsoft, both in the exact same city, but with wildly different designs. The Alviso campus is sprawling. It uses a single-story layout just to handle the sheer, crushing weight of specialized, high-volume cooling equipment. It's pulling 100% recycled water from a nearby wastewater facility and relies on 224 renewable natural gas generators. But then look over at the Orchard Parkway site. Because industrial space is practically non-existent in San Jose's core, they had no choice but to build up. It's a dense, vertical 4-story design to double their square footage, backed by 32 massive diesel generators. Total night and day, right?
Part 3. Rewiring the power grid. Because here's the thing, all that new concrete and shiny server hardware is completely useless without electricity. And when you directly compare that 10 gigawatt demand pipeline in Northern California against the entire state's total capacity of 89 gigawatts, well, it instantly makes sense why local grids are absolutely panicking. We are talking about over 10% of the state's total generation capacity being requested by a single sector in one specific region. To prevent a literal grid collapse, PG&E and the city of San Jose had to sign a first-of-its-kind implementation agreement in 2025 just to manage the incoming load.
And yeah, managing that load comes with a completely staggering price tag. To handle this unprecedented demand, PG&E is currently executing a massive $73 billion, that's billion with a B, capital plan to upgrade regional transmission infrastructure by 2030. They are quite literally rewiring the entire South Bay to accommodate AI. Now, to keep residential ratepayers from bearing the brunt of this massive overhaul, regulatory mandates actually dictate that tech giants like Microsoft have to foot the entire upfront capital cost to connect to these new high-voltage transmission loops.
But it's kind of fascinating because the tech companies aren't just siphoning power, they're actually trying to engineer ways to support the very grid they're straining. Take Microsoft's Alviso campus. It's designed with advanced bidirectional capabilities. This means during a brutal summer heat wave, when grid instability is at its absolute worst, the data center can hit pause on its primary computations. It then flips its 100 megawatts of behind-the-meter generator capacity to push surplus electricity back into the city. It's effectively acting as a massive virtual power plant.
Part 4. The Community Pushback.
Because despite those high-tech grid agreements and virtual power plant setups, dropping heavy, hyperscale facilities right next to residential zones has sparked a very real, very human cost. When you look at direct reactions from local residents on community forums, they are terrified of the financial impact. One local phrased it by sending their condolences to the bank accounts of San Jose residents, warning that bills are about to triple. This perfectly captures the complete lack of trust on the ground. It completely contradicts PG&E's rosy projections that data center revenue might actually lower residential bills by 1% or 2%. The people living there, they just don't buy it. They are convinced they'll be left holding the bag for the AI revolution.
And then there's resource scarcity, specifically water, which is a massive, massive flashpoint. Remember, these facilities are the size of 50 to 80 football fields. Locals are incredibly anxious that, despite all the pledges about using recycled water, those immense cooling manifolds are just going to drain community resources, especially when California inevitably swings back into a severe drought. The sentiment is incredibly raw, with locals pointing out the hypocrisy of being asked to conserve household water just so tech giants can keep making billions.
And that brings us to the elephant in the room: physical space. One resident summarized the frustration perfectly and bluntly, saying to F the data centers and go build more effing houses. That right there hits the nail on the head regarding the ongoing dialectic in Silicon Valley today. The city is rubber-stamping these massive industrial developments and fast-tracking power lines, while actual residents are actively drowning in a severe housing and affordability crisis. To the community, it genuinely feels like the physical needs of artificial intelligence are taking priority over the physical needs of human beings. And this isn't just people venting online either. Activist groups like Alviso in Action are organizing real-world petitions around these exact core vectors. We're talking utility rates, millions of gallons of water consumption, localized air pollution from diesel testing, the constant industrial hum of cooling manifolds, and prioritizing tech zoning over housing. They're demanding proper environmental justice assessments, especially since the Alviso neighborhood already deals with exceptionally high environmental burdens. They are actively fighting back against what they see as fast-track bureaucratic approvals.
Finally, Part 5, the physical AI reality.
So, what's the big takeaway from our San Jose case study? Well, it's that the invisible cloud is a total myth. The digital world is fundamentally entirely dependent on our physical world, anchored in concrete, steel, and water. Which leaves us with this final, crucial question to ponder. Is the ultimate bottleneck for artificial intelligence no longer algorithmic code, but rather our physical power grids, our water tables, and the sheer tolerance of our own communities? I'll let you chew on that the next time you open up an AI tool.